What if I told you you could beat premature ejaculation by mastering one thing, the hump? In this video, I'll explain what the hump is, reveal the 3 key areas of the hump, and the exercises you need to crush them. Plus, I'll give you 3 bonus tips to skyrocket your chance of success. Guys, I'm Max Pierce, a former premature ejaculator. In 2019, I discovered what I believe to be the most effective method to cure premature ejaculation on the planet. Now, I teach men everywhere how to do it too. Take this incredible transformation from my student Merrick. After just 3 weeks, he finally felt control for the first time in his life and gave his woman 2 orgasms. He can now reach an astonishing 30 minutes 50% of the time, and if you know anything about premature ejaculation, that is insane. He's been at it 2 months and getting better every day, and he did all of this using the very same techniques I'm about to show you now. You've probably experienced the frustrating feeling of losing control more times than you can count, but you may be surprised to learn just how close to success you actually were. See, there is a way to stop premature ejaculation dead in its tracks, and it has to do with that crucial time frame between first arousal and orgasm. If you look closely, that is where you'll find something I like to call the hump, and if you can control it, you can last all night. But what exactly is the hump? Well, it's a term I use to describe the sudden spike of sensitivity where you start to lose control. It's characterized by 5 major changes in your body: a tingly feeling in your taint, a gradual tightening of your groin muscles, shallow breathing, increased heart rate, and last but definitely not least, a subtle softening of your mental clarity. These hump symptoms are a warning that your body is preparing for orgasm. In that moment, you have one of 2 options: either flatten that spike or spiral out of control directly to climax. We'll get to how to flatten it in a minute, but first, let's take a closer look at that hump process. It looks something like this. In the beginning, you're not aroused and you're experiencing none of the previous symptoms. Then arousal is triggered, and for a brief time, which will vary from man to man, you have a short window of control. But almost as soon as that window opens, it's then shut by the arrival of the very first hump. Without any means of controlling it, your sensitivity rises unchecked and shoots straight to early climax. For most premature ejaculators, this is where the story ends. But now let's look at what happens once you master the hump. You see the same area where arousal is triggered, but you're still fully in control. Then a spike hits, followed by the first hump. Normally at this point, you quickly reach the red and your fate is sealed. But instead, you catch it early and overpower it before it has the chance to grow, putting you safely back in the green. You then continue until the next spike hits and a new hump begins to form, and the process repeats from there. With dedicated practice, your nervous system learns to stop the hump automatically, allowing you to stroke for longer and longer periods of time. Now that you understand the difference between the 2 scenarios, let's get to what you really came here for. How do you actually practice beating the hump so you can finally last longer in bed? Well, first, let's look at how to shut these humps down, and then I'll give you some exercises which will allow you to start gaining control. Now, when it comes to busting these humps down and developing true stamina, there's 3 key areas you need to attack: your state, your taint, and your cockhead. Let's start with the most important one of them all, your state. So, what is state? Well, state can mean a lot of things, but for our purposes, state is simply shorthand for state of mind. Now, at first glance, it may not seem like there's much correlation between your mental state and your performance in bed, but your mental state and mind-body connection is an extremely powerful regulator when it comes to how your body functions operate, especially in the arousal process. You see, in the moments leading up to sex, your mental state triggers your nervous system to flood your body, your groin in particular, with signals that make it aroused. You can think of it as kind of like taking 2 batteries, a live one and a dead one, and connecting them together, with your spinal cord acting like the jumper cables between them. When you connect the 2 cables, the arousal process begins, with orgasm following shortly after. But when you disconnect the cables, the process reverses. Think about it. you can get turned on just by fantasizing about a woman. But what if you're fantasizing about a woman and then you start fantasizing about something unrelated, like fighting in a boxing match or skydiving or some other activity that requires extreme focus? Well, if your focus on that fantasy was intense enough, your state would change and your body would begin shutting down those signals that prepare it for sex. You'd quickly go from a state of arousal back to baseline in a matter of seconds. Now, that's a simplified version, but disconnecting those cables and preventing those signals is the driving force behind shutting down the hump, and it all starts with your state. Now, with all that said, it's definitely not all in your mind. That's just the starting point. Once you tackle your mental state, you do then have to train your body to become less sensitive and improve your stroking time. So, with that, let's move on now from the mental to the physical and talk about the second key area to mastering the hump, your cock. During sex, your cock has only one function: to amplify the signals from your taint to a high enough level that you reach the point of no return. It's nothing more than a signal booster like the ones you can buy for your cell phone or your Wi-Fi router. So the key here is to disrupt that connection and make your taint incapable of reaching the level required for climax. Once you've severed that connection, you then train your cock to stroke in that disrupted state. That's the basic premise behind desensitizing your cock to stroke longer and longer. And now let's look at the third and final component of mastering the hump, your taint. Your taint functions as the hub that collects signals from both your state and your cock, rapidly filling until it bursts like a dam filled with too much water. And there's only one way to stop this from happening: by blocking state signals and desensitizing your cock. With no new signals coming in to fill your taint to orgasm, it essentially shrivels up and dies, leaving it powerless to create any new humps. In other words,
kill the body, the head will die. Ollie Fraser fight. Crazy shit.
So, to summarize what we've just learned, these three areas, your state, your taint, and your cockhead, all work at different levels and at different times, but they function together for the same goal: to increase sensitivity, leading to humps that grow in size and intensity until you have no choice but to orgasm. Okay, that was a lot, I know, but now that you know how each area works, it's time for you to learn some exercises for each one so you can take this from information to action and start seeing some real-world results. Each step builds on the previous one, so make sure you've mastered each step before moving on to the next. We're going to start off by learning how to control your state, and you can do this using a simple focus exercise. I want you to get two devices, your phone and your tablet, your laptop and your phone, whatever you have handy. Pull up two videos, set them to the same volume, and practice switching your attention back and forth between them for 30 seconds each. Now, this may seem goofy. I mean, what does this have to do with lasting longer? Look, getting that attention switching process dialed in using two devices is the same state activation process that you'll use in the upcoming exercises to protect you from future humps. And this exercise lets you isolate that feeling without worrying about controlling your sensitivity at the same time. So don't worry, we're going to get to the sex practice, but for now, just roll with it and you'll see why it comes in handy very soon. Now, here's what you're going to be looking for. You'll know it's working when you can hear everything that's being said from one device, yet you can't hear anything from the other. It's almost like you've got earplugs that you're taking in and out of each ear, but using your focus to block the sound instead of physical earplugs. Now, I want you to do this for 30 seconds each ear, back and forth between them for 10 minutes total until it starts to become second nature. Once you've got that down, let's now talk about how to apply it in the cock and taint desensitizing exercises. First up, your taint. Now, I want you to put the devices away, and instead of focusing on a podcast, I want you to bring that same focus and awareness down to your taint. Then hold it there as strongly as you can, and as you do that, I want you to picture an imaginary drain plug at the bottom of your taint. Now, using the power of your mind, unscrew that plug and imagine the sensitivity draining out like oil pouring out from an oil pan on the underside of your car. If you do this correctly, the sensitivity in your taint should reduce fairly quickly. Now, for the cock version of this exercise, I want you to simply hold that same focus and repeat the same steps, but this time focusing on the underside of your cock head where all that sensitivity is instead of your taint. Focus hard and drain the sensitivity out from underneath your cock head until you feel that big drop. And I want you to repeat both of these exercises for your cock head and your taint one at a time, focusing on whichever area is more sensitive until you get down to a manageable level. By now, if you've done these exercises correctly, you should notice something truly remarkable, a feeling you've likely never felt before. With your state stopped and your taint and cock sensitivity reduced or even eliminated, it should feel like you can stroke in and out a few times without losing control. That's a signal that something incredible is starting to happen. A tiny window is opening, a window of opportunity where your cock head is finally desensitized just enough to allow you to take a few more strokes without popping. During that short period of time, whether you realize it or not, you are in complete control. And if you can maintain that for even half a second, you can eventually do it for 20 minutes or longer. You just need to build. That magic window of opportunity is what I call in my course being in the pocket. And when you feel it, I want you to simply stroke in and out a few times until you feel the hump rising again. Once that happens, remove yourself from your toy or remove your hand, whatever you're using, shake it off and reset, starting again at step 1 with your state. Then continue until you reach the next hump and simply repeat the process with the goal of increasing your time in the pocket. The more time you build in the pocket, the less humps you'll have to deal with. It's just simple math. Now, I want you to do this entire exercise, all 3 steps, your state, your taint, and your cock head, for 10 minutes a day, 5 to 7 days a week. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, the urge to orgasm is extremely powerful, and especially for guys who really struggle in bed, it's gonna be tough at first. But I've learned a few things over the years that should help you avoid some of the most common sticking points I went through when I was figuring this out for myself. But before we dive into that, if you've been following along and you think you're ready to commit to beating this for good, you're welcome to grab my course in the link below. I made it super easy to follow the steps, so if you apply what I'm teaching you, you will get results in a matter of weeks. And you also get to work with me one-on-one through email or voice chat should you need it. So if you're ready, check out the link below to get started. Now, let's continue with the 3 tips that'll help improve your chances of success. Tip number 1, freeze like a popsicle. All right, guys, here's a practical tip for you when you're doing your exercises. And I say this in my course over and over and over again, and I'm gonna drill it into your fucking head. Never, ever, ever take even a single stroke unless you have complete control. So when you find yourself anywhere above a 4 out of 10 in sensitivity, you need to stop immediately, freeze in place like a popsicle, and work your techniques, all 3 steps, until you feel your sensitivity drop. Do not stroke even once if you think you're gonna shoot back up. You must freeze in place and fight with everything you've got to drop back down. Now, if you find you just can't lock into your state and level out, it's okay, it happens. You're too sensitive, and let's say you've been at it for 10 minutes or longer, don't sweat it. Just masturbate, orgasm, and then once you've recovered, come back at a lower sensitivity and simply start again. Tip number 2, hunt for small windows. Now, for most of you guys, initially the effect of these exercises is only gonna last for a brief moment, maybe a second or 2, and that'll be enough to get 1, maybe 2 strokes in tops. But don't be discouraged, that's all you need to start. Remember, you're just looking for a small window here, a small window where you can smush that hump, and for a brief moment, you can take a few strokes in and out without feeling that hump rising again. And when you feel that window, remember it so that when the next hump comes, you know what to do. So be on the lookout for those small windows and pay close attention to how they feel. They are a huge sign that you're on your way to victory. Tip number 3, prevention, not treatment. There's an old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and nowhere is that more true than in the world of premature ejaculation. In the hump busting game, prevention is everything. The longer and more intensely you're aroused, the harder it is to recover. So the goal is to stop these humps before they get too big. Now, the good news about humps is if you catch them early, it's actually kind of easy to stop them. I mean, yeah, it does take a little bit of effort, but it doesn't take long before it becomes second nature. In fact, you'll get to the point where you're so tuned in, you wind up developing kind of a sixth sense where you know it's coming before you even feel it in your taint. And when you get there, pay attention to that gut feeling. It's a sign that the hump is coming so you can stop it before it becomes a problem. And for the guys who made it this far, I have a message for you. The way I see it, you have two choices. Either you can leave now, forget you ever saw this video, and continue living the way you've been living, or make the decision to put in the work, get this handled, and prove to yourself and your woman what you're really capable of in bed. Guys, I know you can do it, so grab my course and I guarantee I'll be with you every step of the way through voice chat, email, or text to make sure you get this handled right. Check out the link below and I'll see you on the inside.